Nobody warned her that loving a masked man could cost her the truth. They only tell you masks are for parties, for games, for fun. They don't tell you that sometimes a mask is the only thing keeping someone alive. The first time she saw him, he was standing completely still. Everyone else at the private charity masquerade moved like they were being watched, laughing too loudly, smiling too carefully, networking with every breath. But he didn't move. He stood near the far wall, dressed in black, wearing a simple matte mask with no decoration at all. No feathers, no gold trim, no attempt to impress. Just a man watching the room, like he was calculating exits. His name was Marcus Hale, at least that's what he told her, and that was the first lie. Iris noticed him because he didn't look lonely. He looked alert, like someone who had learned the hard way that attention could be dangerous. When their eyes met, he didn't smile. He hesitated, then inclined his head slightly, as if acknowledging her presence without inviting conversation. That should have been the end of it, but curiosity has a way of ignoring warning signs. "You don't dance," Iris said when she reached him. "I don't trust crowded floors," Marcus replied. His voice was calm, controlled, American, but softened by something unreadable. She studied him. "You don't trust people, either." She didn't cry. She stood there, still, watching him remove the mask, every detail of his expression slowly revealing the man she thought she knew, yet somehow never really had. "No, I don't." Instead of pulling away, Iris smiled. "Good, neither do I." That was the moment something shifted. Not sparks, not romance, recognition. They didn't dance, they didn't flirt. They talked quietly at the edge of the room while a live orchestra played for people who wanted to be seen. Marcus asked her questions most men never did. Not what she did, not who she knew, but what made her feel safe, what silence sounded like to her, what she ran from when no one was chasing. Iris told him she restored old books, that she loved stories that survived fires, floods, and forgotten shelves. Marcus listened like that mattered, like it explained something. When the night ended, he didn't ask for her number. He handed her a small card. No name, just a time and place. "If you come," he said, "you don't ask who I am." "And if I don't?" Iris asked. "Then you never see me again." No drama, just truth. She went. Of course she did. They met in quiet places after that, a closed museum wing after hours, an empty rooftop garden before dawn, a diner where nobody recognized anyone. Marcus always arrived early, always chose seats with his back to the wall, always wore the mask. He never touched her face, never took photos, never let her follow him. And yet, he was gentle in ways that mattered. He remembered things, listened deeply, protected her without making her feel owned. Iris fell slowly, not into love, into trust. What she didn't know was that Marcus Hale didn't exist. The real man behind the mask was Rowan Blackridge, a reclusive billionaire whose encrypted tech empire quietly controlled security systems, data flows, and private defense contracts across continents. A man with enemies who didn't threaten, they erased. Rowan had learned early that visibility was a liability, that intimacy could be weaponized, that love was leverage. The mask wasn't romance, it was survival. The problem was Iris. She didn't fit his rules. She didn't push, didn't dig, didn't demand truth before it was offered, and that made her dangerous. 3 months in, the first warning arrived, a burned envelope. One sentence inside. "She's too close." Rowan doubled security, changed routes, canceled meetings, but he didn't stop seeing Iris. That was his mistake. The night Iris found out didn't come with shouting, it came with silence. She noticed the black SUVs first, the men who didn't blink, the way waiters stopped asking questions, the way Rowan, stood slightly in front of her when voices rose nearby. "You're not who you say you are," she said quietly. He didn't deny it. That hurt more than a lie. She found the truth on her own. A leaked file, a blurred photo, a name whispered like a threat. Rowan Blackridge, billionaire, ghost, untouchable. When she confronted him, he removed the mask without ceremony. No reveal, no speech, just a man who looked tired of hiding. "I didn't choose you by accident," he said, "but I didn't choose to lie to hurt you." "You still did," Iris replied. He offered her protection, distance, money. She refused all of it. "What I wanted," she said, "was the man who listened to me in silence." She walked away, and this time Rowan didn't follow. Weeks later, the attack came, not on him, on her. A warning, a message, one Rowan had feared for years. He broke every rule, exposed himself, burned alliances, to save the woman who no longer trusted him. When Iris woke in the hospital, he was there. No mask, no guards, just the truth. "I will disappear from your life," he said, "or I will stay and never lie again, but you choose." Long silence. Then Iris spoke. "Take off the mask," she said, "and never put it back on with me." Some billionaires hide to protect their power. Others hide to protect their hearts. But the most dangerous mask of all is the one worn long enough to forget who you are underneath. And sometimes, love isn't about being seen by the world. It's about being seen by one person without protection. Rowan thought the choice would come quickly. He had faced hostile boards, government interrogations, and threats whispered through encrypted channels. He was used to decisions made in seconds, decisions that moved markets and ruined lives. But Iris didn't answer him. She just looked at him, not with fear, not with anger, with calculation, the same kind he'd seen in mirrors all his life. "Truth isn't just words," she finally said. "It's consequences." Rowan nodded once. "I know." She exhaled slowly. "Then stay, but understand this. If you lie again, you don't get a second disappearance. You lose me completely." That was the moment Rowan Blackridge agreed to something no contract had ever demanded: vulnerability. Staying wasn't simple. It never is when the mask comes off. The world didn't suddenly become safe just because he stopped hiding from her. In fact, it became more dangerous because Iris now knew too much. Rowan moved her to a different city under the pretense of a restoration fellowship. Quiet funding, no name attached. She hated it. Not the city, the secrecy. "You're still controlling the narrative," she told him one night as rain streaked down the window of his penthouse. "I'm controlling the risks," Rowan replied. "And who controls us?" That question landed heavier than any threat. For the first time, Rowan realized something terrifying. He knew how to protect assets, he knew how to neutralize enemies, but he didn't know how to love someone without managing them. Meanwhile, the shadows didn't retreat. They watched. Someone was leaking movements again. Someone knew schedules that weren't public. Someone close, very close. Rowan's head of security warned him. "This isn't about intimidation anymore. They're testing your boundaries." Rowan already knew which boundary was being tested: Iris. The next message disguised as a gift. An old book. Restored, beautifully bound. One Iris had mentioned once, casually, months ago. Inside the cover, a note. "Masks don't just hide faces. They hide weaknesses." Iris read it twice, then looked at Rowan. "You didn't tell me this never stopped," she said. "I was trying to make it stop," he replied. "Without telling me." Silence spread between them, heavy, loaded. That night, Iris packed a bag, not to leave forever, but to take control. "I won't be your weakness," she said, "and I won't be your hostage." Rowan didn't argue. That scared her more than if he had. Days passed without contact. Rowan focused on dismantling the threat, tracing leaks, freezing accounts, setting traps invisible to anyone who wasn't already inside the system. What he uncovered wasn't an external enemy, it was his own board. Partners who believed Rowan had gone soft, that love had made him predictable. They wanted him gone. The final move came disguised as a charity summit, a public appearance, a test. Rowan knew it was a trap. He went anyway, without a mask. Iris watched the broadcast from a quiet cafe. She saw the man she loved step into the light, fully exposed, unprotected. For the first time, the world saw Rowan Blackridge as he really was. Not untouchable, not hidden, human. When the attempted takedown failed, when evidence leaked live, implicating the very people who planned it, the narrative shifted instantly. Rowan didn't just survive, he reclaimed control. But power had a price, and he paid it willingly. He walked away from half his empire that day, restructured, stepped back, removed himself from the parts of the business that required constant war. The world called it a strategic retreat. Rowan called it freedom. Weeks later, Iris found him in the place where it all began, an empty museum wing. Quiet, still, no mask, no guards, just a man standing in front of an ancient book that survived centuries of chaos. "I chose transparency," Rowan said without turning, "even if it cost me everything else." Iris stepped beside him. "You didn't lose everything," she said. "You lost what didn't belong to you anymore." They didn't promise forever. They didn't rush healing. They chose honesty, daily, deliberately, because some loves aren't born from fantasy. They're built after the masks fall. And sometimes the greatest risk a billionaire can take is letting someone see him exactly as he is. No disguises, no exits calculated, just truth. And that was the most dangerous investment of all. Time didn't fix everything. It revealed things, quietly, relentlessly. Life without the mask felt strange to Rowan at first. No staged entrances, no controlled lighting, no anonymous movements through private corridors. People saw him now, really saw him, and most of them didn't know what to do with that. The media tried to rewrite him. Some called him reckless, others called him redeemed, a few called him weak. Rowan ignored all of it. For the first time, public opinion didn't sit at the center of his decisions. Iris noticed the change before anyone else did. He slept more, listened longer, spoke slower. But there were moments, small, almost invisible ones, where his old instincts surfaced. The way he scanned rooms, the way his hand paused near exits, the way silence sometimes felt heavier to him than noise. "You don't have to be alert all the time," she told him once. Rowan smiled faintly. "It's not something you turn off, it's something you outgrow." "I hope you do," she said. "So do I." They didn't move in together right away. That mattered. They chose distance with intention, not fear. Separate spaces, separate routines, shared truths. And then, the past came back. Not violently, not dramatically, strategically. Rowan received a message one morning from an untraceable address. No threat, no demand, just a sentence. "You can remove the mask. You can't erase what you built." Rowan stared at the screen for a long time.
Because whoever sent it wasn't wrong. He had stepped away from power, but power doesn't forget its architects. That night, he told Iris everything. Not the polished version, not the softened version. The compromises, the moments he looked away, the decisions that saved companies and ruined people. He didn't justify himself, he just spoke and waited. When he finished, Iris didn't cry. She didn't walk away. She asked one question. "Who are you trying to be now?" Rowan swallowed. "A man who doesn't hide behind necessity." Iris nodded. "Then keep choosing that, even when it costs you." The cost came sooner than expected. A former partner resurfaced, quietly rebuilding influence, leveraging old systems Rowan had designed years ago. Not illegal, not visible, but dangerous. The kind of danger that doesn't make headlines until it's too late. Rowan recognized the pattern instantly, and for the first time, he faced a choice with no clean outcome. Stay out and let the damage unfold, or step back in and risk becoming the man he worked so hard to leave behind. He didn't decide alone. That was new. "I won't stop you from acting," Iris said when he told her, "but I won't stay if you disappear into that world again." Rowan nodded. "I don't want to disappear. I want to confront it without becoming it." So he did something unexpected. He went public. Not with accusations, not with dominance, with transparency. He released records, timelines, archived decisions, his own included. He implicated himself where necessary, exposed systems instead of individuals, chose accountability over control. It shocked everyone, because billionaires don't confess, they counterattack. The fallout was brutal. Investigations, lawsuits, alliances dissolved overnight. Rowan lost more money in 6 months than most people earn in 10 lifetimes. But something else happened too. Others stepped forward. Engineers, executives, quiet witnesses who had been waiting for permission to tell the truth. The structure collapsed, not in flames, in daylight. When it was over, Rowan wasn't celebrated. He was lighter, stripped of illusions, stripped of myth. Just a man who chose to face the consequences of who he'd been. Months later, Iris finished restoring the book that had started it all, the one that survived fire, water, and neglect. She placed it on a shelf in their shared space. Rowan watched her carefully slide it into place. "What will you do now?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "Build something smaller," he said. "Something honest." Iris smiled. "That sounds dangerous." Rowan smiled back. "I know." Some stories don't end with grand gestures. They end with quiet decisions made every day. Choosing truth over comfort, presence over protection, love without armor. Because the mask didn't fall once, it fell every time Rowan chose not to put it back on. And that was the hardest part of all. Peace didn't arrive all at once. It came in fragments, moments Rowan didn't recognize at first because they felt unfamiliar. Ordinary. Mornings without encrypted calls, evenings without contingency plans, nights where silence didn't signal danger, just rest. Rowan began working from a modest office overlooking a river instead of the city skyline. No armed guards, no tinted glass. People still recognized him sometimes. They always would. But now, recognition didn't control the room. Iris noticed how he flinched less, how his shoulders relaxed when he laughed, how he stopped calculating what every conversation could cost him. Healing wasn't dramatic, it was repetitive. Then came the invitation, not from power, not from the past,
from possibility, a small foundation reached out. Quiet educators, archivists, community technologists, asking Rowan to advise them. No ownership, no control, just guidance. Rowan hesitated. Old instincts warned him how easily influence could turn into dominance. Iris saw the pause. "You don't have to disappear to stay good," she said. "You just have to stay honest." So Rowan accepted, with conditions. Everything documented, everything transparent, no hidden authority. For the first time, he built without shadows. The work changed him, slowly, helping others design systems that protected people instead of exploiting them felt unfamiliar, but right. One evening, Iris found him staring at his hands. "You look like you're waiting for something," she said. "I keep expecting the world to punish me for choosing differently," Rowan admitted. "And has it?" "No." She smiled gently. "Then maybe this is what peace feels like." But peace, like truth, attracts attention, not all of it welcome. A journalist began asking questions, not hostile, curious, digging into Rowan's past and his present. She uncovered contradictions: a billionaire who gave up power, a man who refused interviews but allowed scrutiny, a story that didn't fit the usual narrative. When the article was published, it didn't praise him, it didn't condemn him either. It asked one question: can a man who built systems of control truly live without them? Rowan read it twice, then closed the screen. "What do you think?" Iris asked. "I think it's fair," he said, and unfinished. That night, Rowan made a decision. Not for redemption, not for reputation, for closure. He wrote a letter, not to the public, to the younger version of himself, the boy who learned early that safety meant invisibility, that love was conditional, that power was the only guarantee. Rowan didn't excuse him. He thanked him for surviving, then told him he was no longer needed. He never sent the letter. He burned it, watched the words dissolve into ash, and felt something loosen inside his chest. Years later, Iris would say that was the moment she knew he was free. Not when he lost billions, not when he stood unmasked before the world, but when he stopped living as if he needed permission to exist. On a quiet afternoon, Rowan and Iris walked through the museum again. Visitors passed them without noticing, just two people among history. Rowan stopped in front of a mirror display, an ancient artifact once used in rituals of identity. He studied his reflection.
No mask, just time. "Do you ever miss it?" Iris asked. "The protection?" Rowan thought carefully. "I miss the certainty," he said, but certainty was never the same as truth. They stood there longer than necessary. No rush, no destination. Some people believe love changes you instantly. They're wrong. Love reveals you slowly, strips away the need for disguise, the habit of hiding, the comfort of control. Rowan Blackridge didn't become a different man. He became a visible one. And that was the ending he never thought he deserved, but finally chose anyway. Years passed, and the city around them changed. Buildings rose and fell, fortunes shifted, and headlines came and went. But Rowan and Iris remained, quiet, deliberate, and undeniably present in each other's lives. Rowan never returned to the skyscrapers or the headlines. He built small foundations, funded libraries, and created programs that helped people navigate a world full of hidden dangers without ever becoming the danger himself. He taught others what he had learned the hard way, that power is temporary, but truth endures. Iris continued her work restoring books. Each one she completed reminded her of survival, resilience,
and the layers of human experience that endure through time. She often caught Rowan watching her, silently appreciating the way she found life in forgotten pages. One evening, they walked along the river that ran past their modest home. The lights of the city shimmered like distant stars, and for the first time, Rowan didn't scan the skyline for threats. He simply walked. "I used to think masks were necessary," he said softly, "to keep people safe, to keep myself safe." Iris took his hand. "And now?" she asked. "Now, I see there's nothing worth hiding from you," he replied. She squeezed his hand. "And there never will be." For the first time in his life, Rowan didn't have to calculate every word, every movement, every breath. The man who had been hidden behind masks, behind fear, behind power, was gone. The world could watch, judge, or ignore. He no longer cared. Because some truths are only meant for one person to witness. Some loves aren't about grand gestures or headlines. They're about the quiet moments where two people choose honesty, vulnerability, and presence over everything else. Rowan and Iris stood together as the sun set. No masks, no shadows, no secrets. Just two people who had survived lies, power, and danger, and discovered that the most powerful thing of all is living openly, without fear, with someone who sees you fully, and that was there forever. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Golden Billionaire Stories, where every tale drips with luxury, power, and passion. Because here, love always comes with a price.